Hello students, and welcome to another homework helper video for radical equations. I'm going to do numbers 1 to 20. The board is pretty crowded, but I didn't want to make two videos, so pardon the room. And again, I'm really not going to try to finish every problem and let you do that since you're the student. And do want to be a help to you, want to just help you to set things up. As we do each of these problems, I think you'll start to find and hopefully become more comfortable with what it is that we're doing. We want to make sure that we always isolate one side that has a radical, and then we'll square both sides. That's really what we're working to do. And I think it's pretty easy as you see, and especially as we get along, what we're going to do. Pardon me for talking fast, pardon me for going fast. You can always stop the video, pause it, go back. But I want to be a little informal here and just kind of blow through 20 problems and get them set up. Just try to be a help to you. And again, for my students, let's take some time. Let's do it line by line. Let's make sure we're right. Let's be accurate. And while I may give you a jump start on each problem, really the key here is you understanding what I'm doing and being able to kind of do it on your own if you could. Especially if I gave you more problems than the 20 that are here, that you'd automatically start picking up, hey, I gotta isolate the side with the radical, I gotta do whatever I need to do with my rules of algebra to be able to just put all the numbers on one side, isolate the radical, square each side, and then solve it like a regular algebra problem, because that's what we're gonna do. So here we go, all right? If you have any questions, let me know. We're glad to help and want to try to help you here, all right? First few are always easy, all right? Number one, we're going to square both sides, right? So if we do that, square root of x squared, we just kind of do it this way. It looks like x is equal to 16. Don't put 8, because 4 by 4 is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. Looks like I gave you the answer there. I think you can handle that. Probably can handle the next one as well. We're going to square both sides, right? So y is equal to, well, I'll let you figure out what 5 times 5 is, but it's somewhere between 24 and 26, I think. Somewhere in there. All right? Number 3, we got a radical that is also isolated, but this time it's a binomial under the radical. So we're going to do just the whole thing here, both sides. All right? So the square root of x plus 2 squared is x plus 2, and the square root of 8 is 64. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. It looks like you subtract 2 from both sides, and you might be able to get a problem somewhere in the neighborhood of 64 minus 2. All right? Something like that. Number 4, same thing. We square both sides. Let's do it, okay? Y minus 5 equals 2 times 2 is 4, and then you solve for y. Number 5. Looks like we've got both a number and a radical on one side. We don't like that, we don't want that. We got to take that 3, put it over on the other side so that the radical stands alone, so we're ready to square. The opposite of a 3 is a negative 3, so we get square root of x is equal to 6, 9 minus 3. Now we square both sides just like numbers 1 and number 2. I'll let you figure that out, okay? Number 6, oh, we got a decimal. Don't be scared. Both sides will square, all right? 3.2 squared, so square root of x squared is x. 3.2 times 3.2. Well, all we got to do is just multiply that, but might I remind you from days gone by, students, we better write 3.2, 3.2, keep the columns in order, multiply, keep the columns in order, add, make it all nice and neat. Give me a right answer, okay? 3.2 times 3.2. Number 7, we're going to square both sides. X plus 5 is equal to, well, 0 squared is 0. Go ahead and isolate x, give it by itself, give me an answer. Number 8, looks like I've got actually factors, believe it or not. The left side is not just a radical. It's got a big fat 3 there, it's in the way. What's the opposite of 3 times 2r, or the opposite of multiplication? That would be division, so we have to divide everything that is not the radical. Right? It looks like 3's cancel, and we are successful in getting the radical by itself. 6 divided by 3 is right around 2. Now we square both sides. We got a letter. Don't let that scare you. All right? 2r, square root of 2r squared is 2r. Equals 2 times 2 is 4. Looks like if we get r by itself, we might have to do a little dividing. Number 9. We don't have a radical on its own. Let's subtract 5. X plus 5 is equal to 2. Did you see what I did there? Real sneaky. All right, you got to get x by itself. I think you saw what I did there. Okay. Number 10, I've got a 3 here. I want to put it over on the other side. All right. Minus 3, square root, there's a negative there. X minus 5 is equal to 1. I'm going to actually square the whole thing, okay? So when I do that, this whole thing here is a negative times a negative is a positive. X minus 5 is equal to, what's 1 plus 1? That's 1. All right, we might want to add 5 to both sides, maybe get an answer there. Here's a 2, it's in our way. Negative 2, this is number 11, okay? Some of you don't like these nasty, wicked problems when I already have a negative, and I'm subtracting a negative. Same sign we add, we keep the sign, okay? So it's a negative 10, people, all right? Negative square root x, we square both sides, all right? And it looks like we get negative times a negative is a positive. X equals, what's a negative 10 times a negative 10? A positive something. All right? I think you can find that out. Number 12, radical's not by itself. Okay? So, let's go ahead and take the negative 5 and put it over the other side. And that's going to be a 3 over there. You're going to get a square root of 4a minus 3. You're going to square both sides. You're going to get 4a minus 3 is equal to, you're not going to write 6, you're going to write 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. Don't double 3, you get the wrong answer. 4a minus 3 is equal to 9. You're probably going to add 3 to both sides. Might do a little dividing, find a by itself. I think you can handle that. Number 13, we got to subtract 7, people. So we get 3 times x minus 5 square root equals a negative 21. All right, you see that? Woo! Now we need to divide 3 by both sides, don't we? We got to get the radical by itself. Divide by 3, divide by 3. We get an x minus 5 square root is equal to a negative 7. We square both sides and we get x minus 5. What's negative 7 squared? A positive 49. All right? Simple math. Find x, get it by itself. Here's another two-step deal. You see how we're going from easy to a couple more steps? Number 14, the 3's got to be brought over, all right? 4 square root x plus 3 equals, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, I'm going to get 8. You see how I did that without writing it, okay? You show your work. Mr. Graves is shortening the video, okay? You can do that, show your work line by line, put the sign, put the line, bring it down, keep it in order. I'm preaching at you, all right? Do it. Then we're going to divide both sides by what? 4, because we only need a radical on that side. X plus 3 is equal to 8 divided by 4, right around 2. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides. You tell me what x is. Hopefully by now, you can, maybe the 32nd week of school, Lord willing, you know what that answer is. 15. Going to subtract 5 from both sides. That looks like it's 22. And this looks like it's 2 times y minus square root 3 equals. Then we divide both sides by what to get the radical only on its own? By 2. Look at that. Well, we know that's 11, and we know that the other side is going to be y minus 3, square root, right? So we're going to write it right here real small. Y minus 3 square root equals 11. What are we going to do? We're going to do the same thing we're doing kind of over here, all right? Square both sides. Y minus 3 is equal to, not 22. You figure out what 11 times 11 is, and then when you're done, add 3 to it, and might have y, okay? Number 16, subtract 5 from both sides. Square root x plus 1 equals 2. Square both sides, x plus 1 might be right around 4 equals 4, okay? You might want to subtract 1, get an answer there. Number 17, subtract 14. Looks like the top number is smaller than the bottom number. That might actually yield me a minus. All right, negative sign there, that's a negative 4. We're going to square both sides. All right, square, negative times a negative is a positive, negative times a negative is a positive. X minus 3 is equal to right around 16. And I think you can get an answer from there. Number 18, This 2 is in the way, it is not under the radical. We divide both sides by 2, then we, square root of x is equal to somewhere around 5, and then we square both sides, and, might look like that, all right? Except it's a different letter. You can do it, put your mind to it, all right? Minus 12 on number 19, all right? Negative 4 square root x minus 3 is equal to 7 minus 12. All right, 5, right? Negative 5. All right. Divide both sides by a negative 4. Okay. Divide by a negative 4. And then, let's see what we got. All right. X minus 3 square root equals 5/4. All right. We square both sides. All right. Help me here. X minus 3 equals, what's 5 squared? 25. What's 4 squared? 16. Okay, we'll add 3 to that. You work on that and figure that out. You can turn that into improper and just add 3. Turn it into a mixed number and add 3. Okay? Number 20, take a look at this doozy. We're going to add 13 here. We're going to put the radicals on the other side. I'm going to subtract 2 square root x from both sides, and I'm going to add 13 both sides. I'm going to just kind of show you. I don't have the room, the board to expand it, but you get it. 5 square root x minus 2 square root x equals, and I'm going to put that 13 on the other side. What is 13 plus 26? It's 39. All right? Ooh, look, same radical. 5 minus 2, what's that? 3. 3 square root 2 equals 39. Radical's not on the other side. I got a bad 3 right there. I got to divide both sides by 3. All right? It looks like square root of 2. Square root of 2x, all right? Let me go here, we got running out of room. All right, divide by 3, square root of 2x is equal to 13, right? Fair enough? Square both sides. 2x is equal to, take 13 times 13, and you're going to divide by 2, you'll find x, all right? Woo! Boy, I'll tell you, we went through 20 problems pretty quick. Hopefully that will be a help to you. I gave you some answers on a couple of them. There's some others. Yeah, just some little simple math and so forth. But you know what? Hey, the big picture. Not tell me what to write on a piece of paper, Mr. Graves. All right? No, that's not what we want in math. Do you know what I did? Do you understand what I did? That's what Mr. Graves wants you to catch. So that if I gave you 20 new problems with different numbers that were exactly the same, could you do it? I hope you can. Have a great day, guys. Talk to you later. Bye now.